Another lonely night at JazzrockTV studio. I wish I would have a band here that I could talk to. Something like the Sandro Albert Quartett, with Tom Brechtlein on drums, with James Weidman on piano, and Michael O'Brien on bass, and Sandro, of course, on guitar. I wish it could happen right now. And you know what? Sometimes dreams come true. There they are. Welcome. The Sandro Albert Quartett with James Weidman, with Sandro Albert, with Michael O'Brien and Tom Brechtlein. Yeah.
How did we get here?
Herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Folge von Jazzrock TV. Wieder mal aus unserem kleinen Studio hier inmitten von Köln. Heute geht es um einen Gitarristen aus Südamerika, Sandro Albert.
Richtig, Jazzrock TV heute mit lateinamerikanischem Einschlag, ja?
Richtig, heute lernen wir mal, was ein Latin Lover ist.
Ja?
Oder? Ah, nee.
Ach so.
Wäre schön gewesen. Nee, Sandro Albert ist ein Gitarrist aus Porto Alegre. Ja, wer weiß, wo es liegt, kann uns das schreiben.
Machen wir wieder eine Verlosung.
Machen wir wieder eine Verlosung, ja klar.
Ja, aber ganz im Ernst, das können wir echt machen.
Wir machen heute richtig viel Verlosung.
Ja, also erste Frage schon.
Erste Frage, wo liegt Porto Alegre? Bitte das Land. Ja, also das reicht uns. Und da kommt nämlich Sandro Albert her und der war hier mit seinem Quartett.
Ja.
Bestehend aus
tierische
Michael O'Brien.
Ja.
am Bass, James Weidman am Piano. Hier müsste dann Mr. Brechtlein draufstehen, der Schlagzeug gespielt hat. Und hier die Sandro Albert-Tasse.
Ja. Wir sind aber gerade irgendwie so haben wir in der letzten Folge auch schon gesagt, irgendwie alles ist vollgemalt, die CDs, irgendwie alles,
genau.
Ne, die Wand
Ja,
und
ja.
so. Und jetzt auch noch die Tassen. Ne?
Ja. Also alle Leute, die herkommen, die kritzen uns überall was hin. Wir malen uns an die Wände, auf unsere Kaffeetassen und auf unsere CDs. Na, naja, okay. Gut. Wir sind ja nicht böse drum, denn wir wollen ja jetzt, ich würde sagen, wir fangen mal mit Musik an, oder?
Ja, also die Jungs waren ja hier im Studio. Ne?
Richtig.
Und haben ein super Konzert gespielt im alten Pfandhaus. Und ja, da gucken wir einfach ein bisschen rein. Konzert, Interview, alles ein bisschen durcheinander. Viel Spaß mit Sandro Albert und seinem Quartett.
So we just saw a fantastic show in the Alte Funkhaus here in Cologne, and you guys have been to Berlin, and you have been to Frankfurt, and you're on tour in Germany right now. So how do you like Germany so far?
We are really enjoying the whole thing. We are doing 9 shows, and we have done 5 so far. They all been amazing and a lot of fun. Great audience, great venues, and those guys are really cooking. They are really doing the job. Like, whoa, boy, it's fantastic.
And for you, as a guy from Brazil who is used to, a little bit better temperatures, how do you like the cold at the moment?
You know, I've been going by stages in my life. You know, when I left Brazil 15 years ago, I moved to Los Angeles, where the weather was kind of similar. You know, I lived there for 10 years. Then I moved to New York, which is a little colder, you know, a lot colder. But when you come here, you really learn what cold is and the weather. But people are really warm, so I'm still feeling at home.
People in Siberia, for them it's hot here right now.
I believe you.
So how did you guys get together? Before we talk a little bit about your a long way from Porto Alegre to New York City, I would like to know how you guys got together, James.
Well, I met Sandro at a gig I was playing at the Lenox Lounge first. And we stayed in communication. We have this long rain check for dinner, matter of fact. And sometimes he would tell me about a gig. He would have a gig in town, and I would be busy. I'd be really depressed that I would miss it, too. I said, man, I miss Sandro again. But last year, we played together for the first time with a good friend, Bruce Cox, and then here we are now. This is like actually my first time to actually play his beautiful music, and, you know, it's really been a beautiful thing. I really enjoyed this tour so much. These guys, you know, along with Tom and Michael, the chemistry is just so beautiful, awesome, and the communication is so great. So I've been having a wonderful time with Sandro and the guys and in Germany.
I met Sandro in New York. I was playing at Fat Cat doing a jam session, and a mutual friend of ours, a drummer named Phil Maturano, who had just recently moved from LA to New York, and I'd met and played with for maybe about 6 months or so, told me that a friend of his was coming from LA, and he's a great guitar player, and we should totally meet and play. So I had a gig where I was the band leader at Fat Cat for the jam session. And I got Sandro's number, and I called him up and invited him to play, and it worked out great. From then on, we've just been like super great friends. The chemistry of our personalities were great, and the playing was great. And I was like, man, this guy can really play the crap out of the guitar. I'm like, I gotta hang with him some more. and we just really hit it off, both musically and personally. And we've been playing a lot, and a lot of times just get together and hang out pretty much every week or so when we can. So it's, for about 5 years, we've really been doing a lot of playing together and trying to figure out opportunities to put each other on different bands and things like that. Get you a gig, to throw it back and forth and hang out and have a lot of fun. So yeah, we've known each other for 5 years and done a lot of playing together. And a lot of hanging
symbiotic.
Out. Very symbiotic
relationship.
Oh yeah, it's a very just because first and foremost, he's such a great guy. We're just really good friends. So this is your life.
Right. And you're welcome to it.
Yeah.
And this gentleman on the right over there,
okay, it's your
Mr.
turn.
Tom Brechtlein. I know you for a long time. You don't know me as long as I know you, because I picked up a video cassette from Chick Corea's keyboard workshop. Yeah, it was a cassette. It was a tape.
Yeah.
And I watched it 1,000 times to try to understand what Chick Corea and you guys are doing.
I got my car stolen that morning, and I had to go to the studio.
Oh no!
Right in front of my house. It's a little tidbit of information.
No, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a good story. Anyway.
yeah.
Yes.
But you got forever. Who is a keyboard player and who wants to get some tips or learning to how bands work together? I think this is a quite good production with you, with John Patitucci on bass and Chicoria, and I think that
was just the three of us.
That was just three.
That was really cool because it's just, we were really rehearsing. We were really reading all that stuff, and I remember we'd start discussing the piece right away, and they would tell us stop, and it really shows you like, it taught me like how quickly we as musicians like suss out, scope out a piece of music within seconds.
Right.
There's probably maybe 50 to 100 things that you're already scoping out, and it's like, it's.
So that was really authentic the first time you played this song.
Absolutely.
I forgot the title, but
everybody asked me that. Were you guys really sight reading?
No.
Hell yes.
Okay, great.
Anyway.
Yeah, and then I saw you again with also with Chicoria on the Touchstone project.
Oh yeah, that was a revisiting of the Touchstone.
It was also a great concert.
Yeah, we hadn't. Well, at least Carlos Benevent and I hadn't played. Yeah. Hadn't seen each other since 1982. And we started that tour in Cagliari, in Italy. Mm-hmm. And we hadn't seen each other in that long of a time. And then I remember when we sat down to play, it was like no time had passed. I got a little heavier, and he got a little grayer. He didn't
get long hair by that time. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this very much. So with Chicoria and you're kind of in a how do you call it? Let's say you're permanently in contact. Also, so is it your wife or your sister Evelyn Brechtlein? She's always mentioned on the record.
Yeah, it was funny. Because when I had left the band, Evelyn started working with Chick. It was wild, because she worked with. She worked with Ron Moss for a while, and they were taking care of the studio, and then Chick brought Ron Moss back into the picture, and Evelyn did a lot of the groundwork for all that stuff. Yeah. And she's we've been married for 31 years. This August 27th, and it's great. Yeah. She's the best person I know. She really is. And if she sees this, she's probably going to punch me in the arm and say, "Would you stop? Stop that." But I met, getting to Sandro here, I met him at the Baked Potato. And I think I went to check him. We went...
Almost 15 years ago.
15 years ago. Yeah. Back when they had rotary telephones. Yeah. I went to check him out because I heard about him, and and then I saw him, and also Jimmy Branley was playing too, with great, incredible drummer. And from Cuba. Was Jimmy Johnson playing? Was it?
I think maybe Jimmy Haslip or maybe Jimmy.
I think it was Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson, yeah.
Anyway, I really loved the music, and I loved the way Sandro played. The whole band just played. It was just really great night of music, and I I pitched myself a substitute position if Jimmy Branley couldn't make it,
And can you imagine, like for me? I saw Tom Brechtlein the first time playing with Wayne Shorter in Brazil, probably in 1985, 86, something like that. And I remember from the whole concert that night was like 4,000 or 5,000 people. And everybody was talking about Tom Brechtlein after the concert. That was the highlight because he was young, energetic, was really cool. And did leave a mark on me, the way he was playing. The record Atlantis was such a beautiful way. And I moved to Los Angeles. First I was playing with Ward for 2 years, and I got my record deal. I did my first record with Peter Erskine, Kenny Garrett, Milton Nascimento, and I was doing some shows, some concerts. And one night Tom Brechtlein walked in the club. I said, "Man, that's Tom Brechtlein." I was like very excited that I was going to meet him. So after we met, he pitched himself. Let's say, "Hey man, if you need a sub, call me. I would love to do this music."
I paid him $100.
Wow, no, but I was the first opportunity that I had. I called him, and from that on, we started to play. When Jamie couldn't do it, he started to do. Then I started to use him too as regular too. So Jamie also would play with me for some period, and Tom Brechtlein. We always kept in touch, and this tour was meant to be a long time ago for us to do a bunch of hits together. Since I moved to New York. you know, and thank to Lucia and to you guys, everybody that made this possible. It's been a blast. So my first record, it is with Antonio Sanchez, Peter Erskine, Kenny Garrett, Jimmy Haslip, Milton Nascimento, Luis Conte, among other great players, and was done in 2000. And I toured a little bit the record. I played Ronnie Scott's, I played North Sea Jazz, played Brazil. And then I did my second record with Russell Ferrante, Ayrton, Robin Ford as a guest, Tamir Handel, my great piano player from Los Angeles too. And the third record is all acoustic with no drums but percussion with Cássio Duarte from Brazil, Dave Carpenter, a great friend of us that rest in peace, and some woodwinds. And the fourth record is a counterpoint journey that I wrote this record for a label after I moved to Manhattan. It was supposed to be 13 studies for acoustic guitar that I wrote. And they asked me if I could put a bass around it. And I wrote all the parts for bass and developed with Michael, actually. And then they said, hey, can you put drums around it? No, flute. The third step was flute. I said, yeah. So I came up and I said, how about the drums? Then I had Rich Barchet that used to play with Chick Corea too, with Herbie Hancock on drums. And that was my latest record called Vertical. And it's all arranged and a lot of counterpoints. It's a kind of tough record to be subbing the elements in the band because it demands a lot of rehearsal. We had to rehearse like a month to record.
Wow. Yeah,
it's like complex. A chamber music, very classical.
Yeah, very chamber music like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now I'm doing a big band record on June 13 with an incredible big band in Brazil from Tatuí. It's one of the #1 conservatory of music in Brazil, that great school. A lot of great players came from there. Raul de Souza has just done a project with them, and I'm doing this record. It's my writing for a big band arrangements.
Cool. You are originally from Porto Alegre. Where is this situated in Brazil?
It's way down south of Brazil. But then I moved to São Paulo when I moved to Belo Horizonte when I was 17, with the place where Milton used to live, Toninho Horta. It's a lot of great music they have there. I moved there because I want to search that kind of music. Then I moved to São Paulo where I lived 10 years. I moved to Los Angeles, more 10, and now 5 in New York. I like to move. As you can see.
And you're different as other guys in a young age who didn't buy ice from the ice cream man. You bought his guitar.
Yeah,
is that true?
That's a true story. That's how I became a guitar player. There's a story behind it. I had bought it without my father consent, like without him to authorize. I bought a BB gun from my store, and I told the guy, yeah, my father allowed me to buy the guitar, and I paid him cash. I had money. And I got that BB gun, and after 2 hours I had that BB gun. A friend of mine shot another guy in the leg with my BB gun. Oh. So it was a big mess, and my father found out and said, you take this back right now. And I took it back, the BB gun, and I had my money, and I was walking back home, and I saw this ice cream vendor guy under a tree playing, and I said, hey man, do you want to sell that guitar to me? He said, yeah, how much you pay for it? And I had some money, and we made the deal right there, and I got an acoustic guitar. I was 12 years old. When I saw the guitar, I said, I'm gonna have to learn this. Now I bought it, so I got some Beatles record, and I start to, it's true story.
Great, cool. And where did you get your first piano from? Also the Iceman, or was from the butcher?
Well, we had a piano in our house, and my dad, after World War II, through the GI Bill, did a lot of things, and he went to music school for a year. He was a saxophone player, and the theory was kicking his butt, so he went and for $50 bought a piano so he could work on harmony and stuff. So that piano stayed there. He had a band, and these guys would come over and play, and the musicians would sometimes show me little things, how to play some kind of rock and roll type piano and that type of thing. So before I could even read music, I was playing the piano, and then I took formal lessons, going through the usual books, semi-classical, and playing gospel and all those things, and one thing led to another, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gospel is, seems to me as a European, the perfect route, gospel and blues, to play jazz music. And the music that you learn at church or something, we white guys from Europe have to really figure out, and we still don't have the same feeling. So I really like those gospel chords, and I try to get into it, but it's hard for me. So is church a basis for jazz musicians?
Well, I felt that I personally was fortunate because of situations that I was in. And I tried to be open to all the music that was in my area. Like my first paying gig, and it was not necessarily in the church that my family went to. They had some gospel music, but I learned how to play gospel music amongst these people who were like from the South and from the country. Plus they had some rooty type music that you could relate to the blues, you could relate to the spirituals, you could relate to Africa. And it was at a time where I sort of just put everything together along with European classical music. I sort of played everything. So I feel fortunate to really just acquire that experience and be able to use it. And then when I started playing in Youngstown, I also played the organ. That was another thing. You know, all these little pieces make a person their own person, or it forms your musical personality. And so I kind of like the things that I've experienced.
So you are not one of those piano purists. You also get in touch with e-pianos, Hammonds, of course.
I'm not a purist at all. I'm just of that whole thing, like all music, you know, it's good. If it's good music, it's good music. Or, you know, Louis Armstrong had a quote one time, all music is folk music. I never heard a horse sing a song.
You know, but it is funny what you say about Michael.
I like that.
Michael has been playing, you know, my book for a long time, and with different formations. And we were talking today about the bluesy thing that James brings to the band, and the softness, and it's true, or you know, that church thing. That I was James after I think the concert in Alt's Fun House. I said, James, what were those chords that he played in the intro of one of my tunes that I have to go back to that record, because, you know, is a D minor. I know it's a D minor, but it's a D minor. What that you put in that was giving this leap that I was getting goosebumps in the intro, you know. So I think those elements, you know, as you can hear the way he talks is already, you know, that guy comes the blues, he's swinging, you know.
Ja, das war Sandro Albert. Live in Konzert und live im
tierische
Interview.
Band, ja, tierische Band.
Das hat auch tierisch Spaß gemacht mit den Jungs.
Ja.
Und beim nächsten Mal geht es weiter. Wir setzen das Ganze noch fort. Wir haben noch ein paar.
Ja, es
schöne
gab ja diverse
Tracks
Platten.
und-
Wir haben ja schon gesagt, hier haben wir einiges rumliegen.
Ja.
Und haben so einige Promo-Platten hier. Und einiges ist doppelt, ne?
Ja, und da haben wir schon gesagt, die eine hier ist für den, der es weiß,
Ja,
aus
Porto
welchem
Alegre.
Land Sandro Albert stammt, also in welchem Land liegt die Stadt Porto Alegre. Und hier ist eine zweite, da halte ich das mal zu, was ist die Preisfrage. Das ist besonders schwierig, es ist ein kleines Rätselspiel. Wir wollen von euch wissen, wie heißt diese CD von Sandro Albert? Wie heißt der Titel? Aber Vorsicht! Guckt euch das Cover an. Sie gibt es mit mehreren Covern. Es gibt dieses Cover, es gibt ein anderes Cover. Deswegen sage ich euch, wie der erste Titel heißt. Der heißt Early in the Day. Early in the Day, wie heißt die CD?
Ja,
Das
ja,
ist die
herrlich,
Frage.
oder?
Ja?
Ja, das hier für die andere Frage. Sandro Albert, The Color of Things. Sehr coole Platte mit Russell Ferranti. Der verfolgt uns ja gerade, ne? Robin Ford,
Ramford.
Mark Ledford.
Alto Morera.
Auch tierische Besetzung, also auch empfehlenswert. Wenn man sich jetzt nicht gewinnt, auf jeden Fall mal reinhören.
Ja.
Hör mal, dann
Und
machen wir.
hier, wer das auch mal weiß, der gewinnt dann diese Promo-CD. Die man auch, ja, die kriegt man nicht alle Tage. Weil wie gesagt,
Ja.
ich glaube, die offizielle ist mit einem anderen Cover erschienen.
Ja.
Okay,
Also,
2 CDs zu
ne?
gewinnen von Sandro
Sehr
Albert. Wir sehen uns wieder.
Nächste
mit
Folge
noch
geht's
mehr
weiter mit noch mehr von Sandro
Brazil
Albert.
Jazz.
Genau.
Ja.
Ne?
Und
Bis dahin.
halt die Ohren steif. Bis dann.